Well, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to St. George. This section of Staten Island's North Shore has a storied history, and it's poised to have an even greater future, we think. And that's partly because of the exciting plans I'm going to share with you in a moment. And it's partly because of the strategic investments the city has made in recent years. For example, rehabilitating and upgrading the St. George Ferry Terminal with better access and services for passengers. We've renovated the public pier at the nearby Coast Guard station and are looking for a partner to transform part of that station into a cultural space or museum. We've transformed and revitalized acres of the waterfront, including what will become the new Homeport mixed-use residential community in Stapleton, which we are finally building on now. Yes. Took forever, but we've got going. And for those of you afterwards, you can look down here on stage right to the really beautiful memorial that the borough president raised money for and commissioned a local Japanese architect to build in memory of those on Staten Island who died in the World Trade Center. Staten Island is really, in many senses, the bedroom community for the municipal workforce, and when you listen to the names being read of the 257 people who died there, the number where they say FDNY or NYPD or PAPD after them is really quite staggering, and it reminds you of the sacrifice that Staten Islanders made to keep our country free and let us have the rights that we unfortunately sometimes take for granted. And also, it's fair to say with the City Council's help, we created the St. George Special District in 2009 to incentivize new development and protect the commercial character of the neighborhood's downtown streets. Now, we took these steps because we knew that Staten Island is full of potential for economic growth, including here in St. George. The neighborhood has great options for shopping and dining and a burgeoning art and gallery scene. Its historic district is home to some of the most beautiful residential architecture in New York, as well as classic city institutions like the St. George Theater, which I would urge you to go and see a performance there. It really is quite a spectacular place. You'd think it was in Europe, but it's right here in New York City. And the Postcards 9/11 Memorial. That's what they call the World Trade Center Memorial. And to me, it looks like wings, but they're postcards, and you can, if you're you can leave something there, a flower or a message, and look out on the Manhattan and the World Trade Center site. And of course, St. George is home to the Staten Island Yankees, which their stadium's right here. That's where we are. And the Staten Island Ferry, which a number of you took over here with me this morning. The ferry, you should know, is the third most popular tourist attraction in New York City. More than 2 million tourists ride it each year. But unfortunately, a lot of those tourists simply disembark, take a U-turn, and head back to Manhattan. And they are missing out on all the things that Staten Island has to offer. And Staten Island has been missing out on the jobs and the economic activity that come with tourism. But we think that with this announcement today, that is going to change. In August of 2011, our Economic Development Corporation, run by Seth Pinsky, who is hiding someplace there, there you are, sought ideas to develop two separate parcels, both of which are currently being used as parking lots for the St. George Ferry Terminal and the ballpark. We looked for proposals that would spur economic growth, boost tourism, and create jobs for Staten Islanders. And today we're here to unveil our plans, and I think you will all agree when you hear them that this really is exciting news. The north site will soon feature an attraction unlike any other in New York City. In fact, it will be unlike, we think, any other on the planet. It will be a Ferris wheel, not just any Ferris wheel, the tallest observation wheel in the world. We're tentatively calling it the New York Wheel. It will stand more than 600 feet tall, and that's about 150 feet taller than the world-famous and extremely popular London Eye, which is what they call their Ferris wheel, and more than 80 feet taller than the Singapore Flyer, which is what they call theirs. And the Singapore one is currently the world's largest observation wheel, but that is going to change. It'll have capacity to hold more than 1,000 passengers at a time. Think about that. This is not small, guys. This is a very big wheel. Operating 365 days a year, and I assume every fourth year, 366. We anticipate as many as 30,000 riders per day during peak season and 4.5 million riders per year. It'll offer them unparalleled New York experiences and more than half an hour of breathtaking views of the city from a totally unique vantage point. It promises to become one of the premier attractions of New York City, and together with Brooklyn Bridge Park and Governor's Island, it will be another amazing addition to a harbor that we have brought roaring back to life. The wheel will be designed and built by Starneth, whose team helped design the London Eye. It will stand on a 100,000 square foot terminal building with commercial, retail, residential, exhibition, and theater space. Those are our plans for the north site. And today it would be great enough if that was the entire announcement. But it is not the entire announcement. We also have exciting plans for the South Ferry parking lot site, which is even closer to the ferry terminal. The South site will become home to a modern retail outlet center with around 300,000 square feet of commercial space set up around a series of public squares, as well as a brand new 200-room hotel and banquet facility. The South site will be developed by BFC partners who have worked on a number of projects in our city, including in nearby Stapleton, and will be designed by Shop Architects, the team behind the Barclays Center and Hunters Point South. For those of you that don't know the architectural world, Shop is one of the great architectural firms working in the city, and they have enormous demand for their services. We're expecting between 50 to 75 outlet retailers and a wide variety of restaurants and cafes to open on the new site. The development will bring enhanced pedestrian access to the waterfront, where visitors can enjoy unobstructed views of the city. There will also be a deck over the existing rail tracks to provide connectivity to Richmond Terrace, and there will be an underground parking facility to accommodate cars and ensure that none of the parking available today is lost. Let me repeat that, because there is always misinformation about parking spaces, one of the most complicated things in the world. But all the parking spaces that will be removed for these developments will be replaced, and then some. Together, these projects will bring a huge boost to Staten Island. First of all, they'll create a lot of jobs, over 1,200 construction jobs and 1,100 permanent jobs, and both will spur individual business growth in the area as New Yorkers and visitors alike spend more time exploring the island. And we'll soon be submitting these plans for public and city council approval. If approved, we expect construction to begin on both sites in 2014. We hope to have the wheel turning by New Year's Eve 2015 and the retail complex open in 2016. And together they represent nearly $500 million in private investment in the future of Staten Island, and that's certainly one of the biggest ever. They will pay combined $2.5 million a year in base rent to the city, with additional rents coming later. And both developers will also contribute funding towards area maintenance, including upkeep of the waterfront esplanade. And over 30 years, we expect the net tax revenue to the city from these two sites to be around $100 million. Now, this is the perfect site for these projects. It already has the tourist infrastructure in place in the Staten Island Ferry, which means the site comes complete with 2 million plus visitors a year. And the area includes the borough's main municipal services like the courts, social service agencies, and public library. So Staten Islanders are already coming right to this spot in large numbers, and that's one of the things I think that gives the developers the great confidence that this is really going to work. People are going to be here already. They don't have to change what they're doing to get here. No question, the wheel and the outlet shopping center will put Staten Island right in the center of travel plans for millions of other visitors to our city, and both will bring new life and economic opportunity to the borough. These plans comprise just the latest major initiative that we've announced here in Staten Island, not just on the North Shore, but also improved rapid bus transit across the borough. And we've built beautiful new parks from Ocean Breeze to Fresh Kills. And these are among the reasons why I think the borough's future here is looking brighter than ever. And I don't think anybody can underestimate the progress that's been made here, or the real reason why. And it's this guy standing right next to me, Jim Molinaro, has worked as hard as anybody for this borough. We've been working together for 10 3/4 years. And the good news is he's one of the few people here that's shorter than me. Another reason is the Staten Island Yankees, whose home we're in, standing in their cooperation and partnership, played a pivotal role in helping these plans move forward, and I did want to extend my thanks to them. And now I'd like to invite some others to speak about these plans and what they mean to our city. So naturally, we are going to start with the great borough president of Staten Island, Jim Molinaro. Jim?
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you for bringing Staten Island to new heights. Okay. You know, there's many times the jokes are made about people in Staten Island. They say, you people think that you're big wheels. Well, we are big wheels now. You know? In fact, the biggest wheels in the country right now. You know, I would be remiss if I didn't tell you that this came about because of a lot of people that put a lot of time in that helped Staten Island make it a success. One gentleman came to me a year and a half ago, and that's John Fatito from NYC. And he says, we have this idea, we have some people that would like to construct this so-called wheel and so forth and so on. And before he left my office, I said, yes, I want it. I said, I want it. I says, one understanding, no one is to know about this because I don't need people coming from all over telling me that it's no good, it's going to block my view, it's going to do this, and it's going to do that. And to be honest with you, I received 2 letters from 2 complaints from the same people that complain to me every time the Yankees have fireworks. I'm going to tell the Yankees. Every time you have fireworks, they complain. We can't go to sleep. It makes a lot of noise, the lights and so forth and so on. But everywhere that I have traveled in Staten Island, and I travel continuously, Saturdays and Sundays, people have come to me and says, when are we getting the wheel? When are we getting the wheel? And the past 2 weekends, I had 3 people that came over to me and says, don't give it to Marty. Don't give it to Marty. I says, no, Marty's not getting it. So I want to thank John. Obviously, I want to thank the mayor, you know, for doing this in Staten Island, the deputy mayor, Robert Steele, Sid Pinsky, and George Fatito, as I mentioned. There was another gentleman with EDC that for the past year and a half, he worked with me and he kept me abreast of what was going on. Because these things are very complicated, as you know. And that was Eugene Lee. And I saw him before. He's here someplace. And I want to thank Eugene Lee for keeping me informed.
With his father, he is a native Staten
That's
Islander.
right. That's right. In fact, but you have to realize what this project is to Staten Island. This is the largest private investment ever in the borough of Staten Island. It is a job creator. We'll create 1,100 jobs. We'll probably put a payroll of $500 million at the end of the year, which if you multiply it by 7, you got 45, almost $500 million into the economy. We got good news the other day. Our container port was saved. So we saved another $58 million in salaries there, and the governor moved in and did what he had to do. So we got a lot of good things happening here. And I tell you that in 10 years, St. George will be Battery Park West. So if you got any investments, you ought to make them here. Because when we finish building the home port with 920 apartments, which is in the process of starting right now, we built the additional apartments on the other side of the ferry terminal. We finish here with 2 hotels. My God, this is the place you're going to want to be. It's the place you're going to want to be. And we owe that to the mayor who never forgot Staten Island. He was elected by Staten Island, and he never forgot it. And we should remember that. We should remember that because I hear this nonsense, the forgotten borough. We're not the forgotten borough. We're the selective borough. We take what we need and what we want. So that's why we're the selective borough. So thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Mayor. Thank all you people from EDC. And thank the investors for having faith in us. And, you know, this is one investment that's going to pay off. Obviously, it's going to pay off. So thank you, and God bless you.
Jimmy, thank you. Seth Pinsky from the EDC. Seth.
Thank you, Mayor Bloomberg. This is really a great day for Staten Island and a great day for the North Shore. This administration has been committed to revitalizing Staten Island throughout the mayor's 10-plus years in office. We've made progress on the transformation of the former U.S. naval base at the home port, where construction has actually already begun. We, working with the borough president, have put forth a development plan for Charleston, and we're currently going through environmental review on that project. And we also expect to break ground shortly on the Seaview Senior Living development at the former Willowbrook site. And today's announcement is the next step forward in this revitalization. The projects that are being announced today are part of an integrated plan for the North Shore, and together, as the borough president and the mayor have said, represent one of the largest private investments in history in Staten Island. And it doesn't just bring jobs and economic activity, but it will pull visitors off of the ferry into Staten Island and will also enhance waterfront access and provide new amenities to Staten Island residents. And the announcement today is exciting not just because of the observation wheel, which in and of itself is an amazing announcement and will become a true icon on the skyline of New York City, but it's also exciting because the range of other initiatives that we're announcing, including the planned retail and hotel complex, which will keep retail dollars here in New York City and provide new employment options for Staten Island residents. We're also taking an important step forward on the Lighthouse site, the Staten Island, the Coast Guard site just to the east of here. We're creating the first city-sponsored business incubator on Staten Island, and we're launching a number of new innovative programs that will promote and connect the new retail and entertainment that we're building here along the waterfront into downtown St. George. So we at the Economic Development Corporation are really thrilled by today's announcement, and we look forward to many, many more years of exciting announcements here in this borough. Before finishing, I just wanted to take 1 minute and thank a few people. As you can tell, a lot of people were involved in making this a reality. Of course, the mayor, Deputy Mayor Steele and Eugene Lee on his staff, Senator Schumer and Congressman Grimm, the borough president, who has been a dogged advocate for this borough, our partners in city government, Amanda Burden, George Fertitta, our partners in the private sector, Rich Marin, Meyer Laufer, Don Kaposha, and of course our partners at the state, Senator Savino and Assemblymember Titone, and Councilmember Rose, who has really been vital in bringing all of this investment here to the North Shore, and last but not least, the Staten Island Yankees, who have been great partners throughout all of this. So thank you very much.
Seth, thank you. Next, George Fertitta. He is the president of NYC and Company. That is the city's marketing and tourism organization. They have branches around the world. They work with people that come here. Last year, we had close to over 51 million tourists come to New York City. This year, we'll do even better than that, significantly better. This is what creates jobs. This is what gives us a tax base. This is what gives New York City a future. George, thank you for everything you do.
Thank you.
Oh, there you are.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. It's a great moment, as Seth mentioned, for the city and for Staten Island. The opportunity to have the future New York City icon as a magnet for visitors and a cornerstone of economic development and retail impact is just wonderful. This is a proof point for the mayor's 5-borough mandate, a testament to Bob Steele's focus on Staten Island and, frankly, Eugene Lee's extraordinary diligence on this project. An amazing accomplishment by Seth Pinsky and EDC, and we at NYC and Company will be proud to tell the entire world about the New York Wheel in the future. I want to thank Meyer Laufer and Rich Marin for their vision and their hard work to help make this happen, and of course, the borough president, Jim Molinaro, for all he does at Staten Island. The one thing that people haven't mentioned yet, which I think we shouldn't forget, this is really cool. This is really, really cool. And that in itself is going to really change not only how the world feels about Staten Island, but how Staten Island feels about Staten Island. So we are really thrilled to be part of it.
George, thank you. Now let's hear from some of the developers behind these plans. First, Rich Marin, president and CEO of the New York Wheel, LLC.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Borough President, George, Seth, for all the work you've done. When you look out here, this is the gateway to New York City, and this is the gateway to America. This is the perfect spot in the greatest city and the greatest harbor of the world to put the greatest observation wheel. This project is going to be 100% sustainable. It's going to be a model of sustainability. That's one of our mantras. This will be a world-class destination. They timed it perfectly, and we have the the third largest attraction to New York to bring all of our visitors here. We want to make sure each and every one of you come when the wheel opens in 2015. Thank you.
You know, I should point out that when the explorers came, the first people coming from Europe and went into New York Harbor, they saw Staten Island long before they saw Manhattan. This is the gateway in many senses to New York, exactly right. Next, after Rich, is Don Kaposha, Managing Principal and Founder of BFC Partners. Don?
Thank you. Sorry, I need a little more time to explain our project than the wheel, so I apologize in advance. Mayor Bloomberg, on behalf of my partners, Joe Farrar and Brandon Barron, I want to thank you for supporting this extraordinary project. We're very excited to be partnering with EDC on this deal, and it's only with the direct and focused involvement of Seth Pinsky and his senior staff over the past year that BFC is honored to stand here today as part of a team that will transform the St. George waterfront to a vibrant destination for tourists and all New Yorkers. Early and continuing support from Borough President James Molinaro and his staff and colleagues in government was critical to our decision to move ahead with this complex and challenging venture. At BFC, we know the North Shore of Staten Island well, having recently completed a $70 million investment in two very successful game-changing projects in Stapleton, the Rail and Stanton Hall. That investment encouraged us to seek more opportunities in and around the North Shore and St. George. Our team at BFC, they're all here with me today, recognized that this site offered an unparalleled opportunity to deliver a mixed-use commercial project anchored by a retail center on a site many millions of visitors have passed by and overlooked for years. All critical indicators have clearly supported our contention that this site on Staten Island is the singular best location for New York's first, leading, and only value retail outlet center. Harbor Commons, designed by Shop, will be a 350,000 square foot complex with approximately 100 outlet shops, designer outlet shops, ranged on several beautifully landscaped terraced decks along with a wide range of gourmet dining options, and a separate banquet venue on the uppermost deck, all with spectacular views and newly established seamless connections to the New York Harbor, Richmond County Ballpark, historic St. George, and the ferry terminal, and this incredible planned wheel. Our plans also include a 200-room hotel with integrated event and meeting spaces, all supported by a structured parking garage that will accommodate 1,250 cars, approximately 500 more than are there right now. Nothing even remotely resembling the planned Harbor Commons can be found anywhere in New York City. New Yorkers and tourists alike will be able to take a quick and free ferry ride to Harbor Commons or even a water taxi ride from any number of New York City's waterfront landing locations. Over 3 million riders currently use the ferry annually, the vast majority of whom are tourists, will now have the opportunity to visit a world-class outlet center without ever leaving the city. Harbor Commons will become a principal New York City destination for millions of residents and tourists every year. This will be the first outlet center in New York City that offers the retail sector a singular and unique opportunity to expand their brand presence in the most vibrant retail market in the country. Our project will generate 800 construction jobs, 680 permanent jobs. We're extremely proud to be leading this development and building what will become one of New York City's most transformative projects. Thank you. Sorry for the speed.
Don, thank you. And let me just speak on behalf of all New Yorkers. For you and for Rich, we appreciate your confidence in the future of New York City. Now we'd like to ask some of the elected officials who represent the area to speak. He is literally the next one on my schedule. He walks in perfect timing. How did you manage to do that? The great senior senator from New York, Chuck Schumer.
Thanks, Mayor. Well, thank you, Mayor. It's great to be here. It's a great day, and I want to thank everybody here. I want to thank the mayor for being a great visionary for economic development for our city. I told him maybe they should name the Ferris wheel Mike.
Don't think so. Chuck seems like
It's going to go around for more than 3 terms.
Staten Island Chuck. Quinn won't find that funny.
Maybe we should name it Jimmy. Anyway, it's I really seriously, I mean, I admire the mayor. I care about New York. I like to see New York grow in population and strength and economy. And he's always thinking, and his team is always thinking of ways to do that. And you can look in every part of the city and see examples of that. So that's why I wanted to name it Mike.
Thank you.
And I want to thank Jimmy Molinaro, our great borough president, Mr. Staten Island, who I'm sure is feeling so proud today.
Absolutely.
About what's happening. I want to thank Robert Steele and Seth Pinsky and Richard Marin and all the others of New York Wheel. Thank you for your, whoever you are, for your confidence in New York. We're going to get to know each other. Now, this is a big day. Right here on this very waterfront, the tallest observation wheel will soon be seen from the New York City skyline, taller than the Singapore Flyer, taller than the London Eye. The tallest attraction will be right here on the St. George waterfront, and the New York Wheel will completely transform the entire look of the waterfront, creating a new visibility for Staten Island. And you know, I had the good fortune to have ridden the London Wheel with my wife and daughters when we vacationed there several years ago. It's an amazing thing. First, it's true. You land in London, you see the Ferris wheel, and you say, I want to go there. Same thing is going to happen here. And then the views are amazing. One liability, but it's a pleasant liability. The lines are long, as hopefully they'll be here, but it brings people to that part of London, and it will bring people here to Staten Island to go to the stores and the shops and everything else. My guess is the Yankees will have standing room only for all their games because everyone will come here and go, and then they come back again and again and again and again. So it's great. It's going to be a real icon. The Ferris wheel will be Staten Island's Eiffel Tower, and its image will be imprinted on the brains of tens of millions of people who visit New York each year. The Ferris wheel will be iconic. People will send postcards of it to their friends and relatives. You'll find its picture on refrigerators and coffee tables around the world. Couples will get engaged on it. Friendships will be born on it. Milestones will be celebrated on it. It'll stand tall and be visible from the shores of Manhattan, New Jersey, and the most important place of all for it to be visible from? Brooklyn. Where many
You can look, but don't touch.
where many Staten Islanders were born. It's going to be a magnet drawing people in from all over. They're just going to point to the Ferris wheel and say, I want to be there. So it's a great day. Again, I was so happy when I heard about this as somebody who cares about New York. And of course, it's going to create not only 1,000 construction jobs and 1,000 permanent jobs, the ancillary jobs that will happen just because of this magnet of economic development will be huge. So it's a win-win-win, and I am very grateful and fortunate to be here as we announce it's happening.
Michael, I'm sorry to do this to you, but where are you? You go next. Congressman Grimm, it is a tough act to follow the senator, but I'm sure you're up to it. Better you than me.
I'll do my best. I'll try not to recreate the wheel. Couldn't help myself. Obviously, I want to say thank you to everyone from the mayor and borough president's office on down to the private investors for believing in New York. But I also want to congratulate everyone for an unbelievable project that's about to start. The two things that jump off the page, the word jobs. You know, all of us up here know that that's what we need to do. We need to get people back to work. We need to get this city as the leader for the rest of the country, and that's what this is about. So that's the one thing. The other thing is, as someone that was a 9/11 first responder, I think it is a beautiful memorial in a way that people from all over the world are going to come and look on that beautiful skyline and remember all of those that were fallen and send a message that New Yorkers are resilient. This great country has an unbelievable resolve, and we rebuild stronger than ever. So I think this is just a wonderful, wonderful thing, and I'm proud to be a part of it. Thank you.
Great. Michael, thank you. Next, State Senator Diane Savino. Diane?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I am thrilled to be here today, and I want to thank the mayor particularly for his commitment to Staten Island and to development in general, and of course to the EDC and the borough president, and I see Letitia Ramora from Community Board 1, and there are so many people here who have been waiting for something like this for so long. There are so many heads of cultural institutions who have struggled for years to try and figure out, how do we capture those 2 million tourists who come across every day? How do we get them to stay here? How do we get them to go to these beautiful jewels on the North Shore? Well, this is one of the ways we're going to do it. For the past 8 years, I've been blessed and privileged to work with this administration on the redevelopment of another iconic area, Coney Island. And if you don't believe what can happen when business and the government work together, private investment, you come to Coney Island, you see what's happening there. Lynn Kelly, who's now here on Staten Island as the head of Snug Harbor, she was the head of the Coney Island Development Corporation. Come to Coney Island and see what can happen when we put these two entities together. We're going to get those 2 million people a year to come to the Staten Island Museum, Elizabeth. We're going to capture them. We're going to get them to come here and understand that we always knew that Staten Island was cool. Now everyone else is going to know it. And we're going to get some of those, what they call suitcase shoppers. You know, one of the other big stops for tourists in New York is not just the Staten Island Ferry. It's also Woodbury Commons. They get a suitcase, they drive up there on the thruway, or they go on a bus, they fill their suitcase, they leave their money behind there, and then they bring it back home to wherever they came from. Well, we're going to get them to come to Staten Island. They're going to ride the wheel. They're going to visit the museum. They're going to go to Snug Harbor. They're going to go shopping. They're going to eat in our restaurants, and they're going to be part of the redevelopment of the North Shore so that, yes, Jimmy, we one day will be Battery Park West. Thank you.
Diane mentioned Letitia Romano. Of all the people here today, she has come closest to killing the mayor. Now, she may not be the one that wants to do that the most. I'm not even sure whether it was an accident or not, but she came very close to killing me with a golf ball. You had to have been there to watch it. I did, absolutely. Next, Assembly Member Matthew Titone. Matthew.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm so excited because the Big Apple just got a heck of a lot bigger today. I think Diane really hit upon it with the tourists coming to our culturals, but I think what people are forgetting too is that not only will we get tourists from other countries, other states coming to Staten Island, Manhattan will be coming to Staten Island to shop and to ride this wheel. Brooklyn will be coming to Staten Island. Queens and the Bronx. New York City will be coming to Staten Island to shop, to ride that wheel, and then they will discover everything that we have to offer, and we do have so much to offer. So today is a very proud day. Thank you, Borough President. Thank you, Mayor, so much for your leadership on this, because today Staten Island truly got a heck of a lot bigger. Thank you.
Matthew, thank you. And Council Member Debbie Rose. Debbie.
Thank you, Mayor Bloomberg. An endeavor of this size and proportion takes a lot of help. So I just would like to thank and acknowledge several people, starting with Mayor Bloomberg, Deputy Mayor Robert Steele, the New York City Economic Development Corporation, Seth Pinsky, the President and CEO of New York Wheel, Richard Marin, Managing and Principal Founder of BFC Partners, Don Kaposha, our Borough President, James Molinaro, and CEO of NYC and Company, George Fertitta, and all of our elected officials, and my friend Letitia Romano, who really is a visionary. You know, today we're talking a bad golfer, but maybe a visionary. Uh-oh. That sounds political to me, Mayor.
Not clear whether it was deliberate or not.
Sounds political to me. And so today's announcement by the mayor is major, and it's a big deal for Staten Island and the revitalization of our North Shore waterfront, something that I've been working really hard toward, and as have all of us. The downtown Staten Island business district and our cultural institutions will benefit by this. It's really important that this project will not only be a revitalization of our waterfront, but it will bring people upland. And it is very important to our economic development our local survival in our communities. We talked about jobs here today, but we are also talking about the survival of our business districts and our culturals. And so this will bring about the revitalization and positive changes. And it's not about only positive changes for the tourists of New York City, but for the residents of Staten Island. And as with any project, the devil is in the details. And so I know there are concerns and issues, and I'm going to be working very closely with our partners, our principals, Don Kaposha, and with EDC and all of the people who are making this possible to make sure that this is a project that has all beneficial properties as opposed to any negatives. And so I thank you all for your efforts in today's announcement.
Debbie, thank you. Before we take questions, let me just summarize today's announcement in Spanish. For Spanish-speaking New Yorkers, estamos anunciando planes para construir la rueda de fortuna más grande del mundo en el condado de Staten Island. La rueda llegará a una altura de 600 pies de alto. En esta área también habrá un nuevo centro comercial que traerá turistas, trabajos y más actividad económica en este condado. And with that,